Rusame reader, Crow and today I will be reading to you from Black Coffee by MysterySaviour. Now, on to Act 1, Chapter 12. America grumbled to himself as he struggled to pop out his contacts. They were uncomfortable and itchy, but necessary. No matter how much he resented his father, he wore them for his sake. Well, not really. He just knew he'd get a whole lecture if he wore his sunnies. Why did it even matter? They were comfy and helped him hide. So what if they were informal? But, of course, formalities were everything to his father. Throughout his entire childhood, probably half of his memories consisted of stuffy suits and ballroom dancing. But he was lucky, he supposed. Canada was the one Britain always showed off. He usually just sat in the corner, chatting with his sisters or pulling pranks with Australia while New Zealand covered for them by distracting their parents. Good times. A vivid memory for him was the first time he ever laid eyes on New Zealand, or Kiwi, as she preferred to be called, and Australia after their transformations. As identical twins, Australia and Kiwi were naturally difficult to tell apart, and it was always frustrating for anyone who wasn't family or close friends to attempt to find the differences. They took great joy in pranking the hell out of everyone at school. Students, teachers, even the principal. They would pretend to be the other, or swap classes they didn't like, or even swap test results if one of them really bombed an exam. By the time the girls were teenagers, the individuality phase really hit hard. The two of them went to a tattoo parlor and got their flags redesigned. Kiwi filling in her Southern Cross stars with red and leaving white outlines, and Australia adding an extra star, the Federation star, for each of her states and territories. Clearly taking inspiration from her big brother, America always assumed proudly. It was considerably jarring to see the two looking so dissimilar after years of matching flags. But they were happy, so he was happy for them. Speaking of the two, America hadn't seen either of his sisters that night and was starting to get worried. He really missed them and their jokes. Especially Kiwi, since they weren't really close enough to warrant more than a monthly phone call and obligatory birthday money. Maybe after his little tantrum, he would go inside and go searching around for them. America sighed, basking in the glow of the moon as he leaned on the thick stone balcony railing. Perhaps he was being too childish, throwing tantrums and stuff. He watched his, well, really Russia's, champagne glass as it danced gracefully with his fingers on the circular foot, twirling and pirouetting. He should go back inside. But as the breeze caressed his face with gentle compassion and the stars twinkled comforting words, America felt less inclined to return to the party. No need to rush, right? The scenery and atmosphere were calming, to say the least. And he really needed to focus on something other than the stupid headache he had developed from the bright yellow lights of the ballroom. "Can I have my glass back?" America jolted, scrambling to find his sunglasses in his breast suit pocket. His eyes were exposed. He couldn't let anyone see him like that, especially not Russia. Fortunately, he managed to find them and slip them on hurriedly, swinging around to greet his tall friend. Russia raised an eyebrow at his haste, but didn't bother to question it, opting instead to rest on the railing beside his capitalist comrade. Remembering what Russia requested, America pushed the glass over to him. "Yeah, of course. Sorry." Russia observed both him and the glass for a moment before sliding it back. No, never mind. You need it more than me. America smiled at him gratefully and played with the glass again, eager for something to fiddle with. They sat in relative silence, watching the stars and listening to the sounds of the garden, which was alive with nocturnal critters. Hey, Russ? Yes, Mary? America hesitated, doubting what he was going to say was a good idea. Have you ever been in love? Russia peered down at him, confused at the sudden depth of what was barely a conversation a moment ago. America refused to look at him, fiddling even more with the glass in his multicolored hands. He was afraid of what emotion he might see in those wide eyes. Russia's stare returned to the garden, humming as he filtered through his thoughts. Well, I don't think so. I guess I don't really know what love is. I know the basics, I suppose. It's unconditional. It's forever. It's fulfilling. Stuff like that doesn't really happen to me, though. I mean, I've never been in a relationship. He chuckled at the last point. What? How? America exclaimed, looking wide-eyed at Russia. I dunno. Russia shrugged with a snicker at the surprised American. No one asked, I guess. But you're so perfect, America breathed. Pardon? Russia asked, not quite hearing him. America scrambled to cover up his words. Nothing. It's just that, I assumed you dated China? America silently cursed himself for making it sound more like a question than a claim. That made Russia laugh hard, leaning over the balcony and slapping it with his hand. China! Just saying the name made him burst out into spouts of giggling again. Hey, it was a fair guess, America defended, his cheeks burning with embarrassment. I mean, you seem to know him pretty well. Know him pretty well? Russia wheezed, laughing so hard there were even tears in his eyes. America huffed and crossed his arms over his chest. Jesus, you're finding this amusing. The taller man finally got himself somewhat composed and stood upright again, wiping his eyes. Yeah, because China is kinda like my cousin. America started. No way! Yes way! Russia began laughing again, but this time America joined in. When it finally died down, the smaller country looked back at Russia sharply. Wait, really? Yes, really. Russia giggled, slightly thankful for not spiraling again. We've been friends since we were kids, and he respected our family so much he asked if he could be an honorary member. Huh. Crazy, right? America simply nodded, mouth set in a confused, hard line. So, what about you? What do you mean? Have you ever been in love? The question pierced America like a bullet to the heart, making him inhale sharply. I don't know. I thought I was once. And? Russia pressed. America reached under his glasses and shut his eyes tight, rubbing the bridge of his nose. It wasn't meant to be. Russia nodded, still curious, but not wanting to push him any further if it hurt him so much to reminisce. I'm a bit of a homeless romantic. America gave a hollow chuckle. I've been with a lot of people just because. He exhaled. I'm scared to be alone. Did you think you were in love with all of them? America shook his head, not trusting his voice. Who did you? Philippines. Despite the tension, Russia smiled. Hey, I know him. We used to be really close friends. He talked about you a lot. Seemed smitten. Oh, America stated simply, swallowing. Small world. Russia shrugged, resting his elbows on the rail and smiling gently at America, who was gazing dreamily over the garden, lost in thought. I guess so. America had crossed his arms once more, trying not to fiddle with the glass no matter how bad he wanted to. He bit his lip and looked at the individual grains of stone of the balcony and tried counting them to distract himself. He uncrossed his arms and grazed his fingers across the surface, feeling the bumps on his skin. Russia furrowed his brow and frowned, not quite liking this quiet, contained version of the nation. He reached out a large red hand, hesitating slightly before tangling America's fingers with his. America shifted his stare to their intertwined hands before looking up into Russia's eyes. There were so many conflicting emotions swimming in his soft gaze. It would have been overwhelming had it not been so calming to be in Russia's presence. Their hands fit perfectly. Russia felt his chest tighten, and he swallowed hard, unknowingly drifting closer to his companion. America was so close. His hand was so warm. Despite all the raging feelings in him, it felt so right, like it was where it belonged. He wished so badly he could look into America's eyes and see all his reflected emotions instead of those damn sunglasses. America, Sorry to keep you waiting, mon bébé. Mon bébé means my baby. The two countries leapt away from each other, holding their own hands to their chest as if they had been burned with acid. France stood in the doorway, the French drawers ajar to let out the soft piano and the chatting from the ballroom. An elegant black dress hung from her shoulders and hugged her curves, splitting just above the knee. A matching barrette was perched on her head, and she was wearing red high heels to seem taller. Unlike most other women at the party, she had simple makeup. Red lipstick, a bit of blush, and wings. Salut, Mum. That means, hi, Mom. America stammered, blushing profusely. France strolled over to her son, arms outstretched. When she reached him, they kissed near each other's cheeks, in greeting, and France smiled at him. Looking him up and down, she glided her hands up and down his arms to hold his hands and pinched his cheek, making him groan and squirm. Oh mon Dieu!
Mon petit garçon a grandi et a quitté le nid.
That means, oh my goodness, my baby boy is all grown up and has left the nest. She cried happily, pulling her son into her chest and leaving him to wave his arms around blindly, causing Russia to bite back a laugh. Mama! France gasped over dramatically and let go of her struggling eldest son and bounded over to Russia, holding his hands as well, taking him in. Russia, surprised to be touched by a complete stranger, tensed, willing himself to not back away.
Non, Amérique. vous en avez certainement attrapé un bon.
That translates to, my, America, you definitely caught a good one. Russia had no idea what she said, so he just nodded along, pretending to understand. America, however, squealed in embarrassment and held his hands over his face. Maman,
Nous ne sortons pas ensemble.
That translates to, Mom, no, we're not dating. France turned to her bashful child and winked at him with a smirk. Not yet, you're not. Russia, completely baffled at this point, just opened and closed his mouth repeatedly. All the ideas of what they could have been discussing running through his head. France luckily saved him by letting go of his hands, which he was very thankful for, and turning to her son, offering him a dazzling smile that seemed to run in the family. Let's go back inside, The party isn't the same without you, ma pouce. That's French for my flea. America straightened, mentally preparing himself for what he was about to return to. France spun the doors, preparing to throw them open to make a grand entrance. When she did, she was greeted by adoring guests sweeping her away to probably talk about which kind of cheesecake is better. She caught her son's gaze and rolled her eyes, playfully poking out her tongue in disgust before turning back to the stuffy, fake crowd with another huge smile. America snickered, knowing full well what it was like to speak to all of these superficial visitors. But once again, his anxiety shrieked in his mind, his fists clenching and unclenching in discomfort. Russia walked over to him, once again, encasing his hand in his own. When America looked up at him, Russia smiled lightly and squeezed his hand, tracing small shapes into the other's smooth skin with a stray finger. America visibly relaxed, smiling back and leaning into Russia's touch. Russia reached for the doorknob, looking back to his comrade for confirmation. "Are you sure about this?" he asked tentatively. America gave him a simple nod, face molding into an expression of confidence and determination. Russia turned the knob and opened the door, their hands still intertwined. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed, 'cause I did. Anyway, I would like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time, and I will see you tomorrow.